So welcome back to my channel. My name is Titilayo and this channel is BM Bamwo. You're welcome once again. I just want to say a very big thank you to everyone that watched my last video. I am trying to keep my promise about following up on the Jackpot story. So I started my Jackpot story about 4 weeks ago, telling you guys what led up to me relocating to the UK in 2022, and this is a follow-up video on that. So I hope you guys take your time to enjoy the video, and I'm so happy to finally sit down again with you guys. So the real gist is my what they call it, my microphone broke, so I'm actually doing this video with front camera without a microphone. But when there's a will, there's a way, and this is also a motivation to somebody out there who has been trying to do something. Don't let anything stop you. Once you have the minimal thing you need, just go ahead and fulfill that dream. So today is Saturday, and I've been actually looking for the zeal to do this video, and I came across some videos online. First, I came across a woman that is documenting her immigration story back to Nigeria after 15 years in the UK, and she was giving some insight into how difficult it was in her first 5 years in the UK. She didn't really go deep into explanation, but she was just saying how difficult it was at that time. And then, as if that was not enough, I came across another lady in Asia that was talking about actually crying online. I think the video went viral. She was crying about how she was not able to get her papers and all that, and how she has spent 7 years actually schooling in one of the Asian countries, and when it was time for her to apply for a work permit, she was denied. And then this evening I came across another girl that is in Canada, and she's been separated from her husband and her child back home, and now she's just like in a very dark place because she doesn't know, she's uncertain about quite a number of things, and the most important is she doesn't know when she's going to be reunited with her family. So just like I have to tell my story. Like, I know that I may not have so many people subscribing to this channel, but I believe that at one point we will grow and people will be able to actually see the story. And even if it's just one person that is seeing this story, it's not to change your mind about Jackpot, or it's not to motivate you to Jackpot. It is just for you to hear my own story. And sometimes I watch YouTube videos just to hear people's story, just to see people's story, and it doesn't necessarily motivate me. It just makes me know that, oh, okay, I'm not the only one in this situation. And then just kind of give you that hope. So I'm hoping that my video will give somebody hope that, okay, you're not the only one that went through this. Like, okay, your case is not the worst, it's not the best, but I'm not here to tell anyone what to do. I am just here telling my story. So in my last video, I stopped at the fact that I had difficulty entering into the UK because the immigration were thinking that, oh, you're not here on a study, you're not thinking you're coming for a study, you're actually it looks as your outlook, bringing your child and your husband coming with you at a later date, coming after you, is signifying that you're actually here to immigrate and not to study. So after overcoming that hurdle, my brother eventually came to get me. But entering the UK, I actually entered the UK in tears. Like, when my brother saw me, I was just like, when I saw him like this, I just busted into tears. I just started crying because I was like, God, what is this? It's okay. So my brother, just like consoled me, gave me a hug, and I felt better. So I was like, okay, let's pick it up from here. Nothing spoil. They don't want me to enter, but in this land, because as I was in the air, as I was in the air, I was capacity. I was like, this land is going to favor me. It's going to be my land of milk and honey. I am going to progress in this land. Nothing, you pray. So I was like, okay, this is an obstacle. The Bible says that there will be temptations, but God will make a way of escape. So I've entered now, nothing. So it was really, really nice, after I got over that phase, and then we went home to my brother's house and stuff like that. So the next thing was to go and get my BRP. I'm just highlighting because the story is a long one, and I cannot because I didn't document it at that time, so it will be difficult for me to be going through one by one. So I'm just going to be telling you the highlights of my journey. So I went and collected my BRP, me and that of my daughter. And I remember collecting that BRP, and I was like, God, this is the BRP, by the way, is biometric residence permits. That's like your ID card for being a resident in the UK. So I collected that permit, and I was like, God, this permit is a temporary permit, because at the back of the permit, they're going to write, like, you don't have recourse to public funds. And then in front of it, they'll say, oh, student visa, it's going to expire on so dates. I know my daughter's only was written dependent visa. I couldn't collect my husband's one because you have to collect in person if you're an adult. I was just remembering saying that, God, this temporary visa permit is going to turn into a permanent one. And my brother was like, let me see. He was so excited about it, and he was like, yes, by God's grace, the permit is going to turn into a permanent one. So the dream of everyone going into the UK is, just as the immigration officer suggested, sometimes, I'm not going to say everyone so that I don't get myself into trouble, some people just go to the UK to study and go back to Nigeria or go back to their home country. But I think majority wants to explore the opportunities in the UK, see if they can stay after the studies, and see if they can change their temporary student visa to a permanent visa that will allow you to stay and work in the UK long term. So that was the dream, and that was the goal. So I remember that season of my life, just in the euphoria of getting that BRP card, and anticipating the journey in the UK. So the journey started, and then because I was heavily pregnant, I started going to school. My school was actually 2 hours away from my brother's house. So I was going to school on the train, but because I was pregnant and my mom was coming to support me with and my brother was so supportive. He actually took me to school on my first day. I will never forget everything he did for me. So I started going to school. It was fun at first because I was pregnant, but I was still able to go to school for my studies and all that. I met my classmates. We started doing some coursework together. That was in January 2022. And then in February, I had to take some 2 weeks off. So I took 2 weeks off to go and give birth to my son. And I went back to school after 2 weeks. I went back to school 2 weeks postpartum. And I would just say at this point that the only reason I could go back to school 2 weeks postpartum was because I had my mom with me. My mom was in my brother's house. My brother was there as well. My husband came to join me. So I had a community helping me through this process. And one thing I will say, if you're actually traveling abroad and you're in my situation of having, maybe you're pregnant and you know that there is no way you can do it yourself, you actually need people to help you through that phase of your life. Do not despise the help that people can give you. My mom stayed with me from that February. She stayed with me till she did. I think she came end of January. She actually came before the baby was due, and she stayed with me till June. So she actually stayed with me for like 6 months before she went back to Nigeria, and that was like a game changer for me, something I will never forget. So I had my son, and I'll be putting some pictures here if you guys are interested. I know you guys will be interested, so I just put some pictures here. I hope I can find some. I had my son in the UK, and then we came home, and 2 weeks I had to go back to school to continue my studies. 6 months later, my mom left, and luckily we had a break during that time. So we know the summer break in June, and so I had like my mom was not around, and I was not going to school. So my daughter was not going to school as well, because remember I came in with my 4-year-old daughter at the time. So it was good. The summer was good, yeah. And we're in my brother's house for the longest time. Fantastic what do they call it, what can I say, hospitality from him. He was helpful in every way. But when it was time to go, we just knew that okay, this is the time for us to go. So another lesson here is, when you've gotten the help and the soft landing you require, don't overstay. And I'm not saying this because maybe your host, my brother actually didn't want me to leave. I think he was upset that I was leaving. Yes, because I wasn't paying rent. I was maybe buying food once in a while, but I wasn't paying rent, which is a major part. If you are not paying rent in the UK, you know that your problem is half solved. So he didn't want us to leave, but we knew it was time for us to go, because we wanted to plan for the next phase of our future as a family. And me and my husband just knew, yes, this is the time for us to take that leap of faith. We're going to be paying rent, we'll be paying electricity, gas, and all that. So we stayed in that place till September, and in September we moved to our own house, to our own apartment, own place. And then we started planning for the next phase of our lives. It was a really exciting time, just to come to the UK and then be able to rent your own place. It was very nice for us. It was a new build as well, so we really enjoyed moving into the house. My husband changed up around that time. Something happened in his former place of work, an unfortunate thing that happened, and he couldn't continue with that job. So he changed up around the same time we moved houses. So it was just like a miracle, but everything was just aligning and working together. So another thing, that's another lesson here, is that God always has everything figured out. You might not have things figured out yourself, but trust God. I used to call him Obatike Bedi. He is God that never comes late. He knows, he's planning it, because the way God planned things for us, it was just like we were supposed to move in June, and something happened. He lost it. The job was, he couldn't continue with that job. Something like he lost the job. That's just it. There's no like sugarcoating it. And we was like, what should we do? And he was like, we agreed that we're going to continue looking for the house, because in the UK, remember, you cannot move if you don't have a job, because the landlord is going to ask you for proof of employment most of the time. So we continued looking for a job, for another job, and in 2 weeks he got another offer. So we actually continued looking for a house, and the job was lost. We now still continue looking for a house, and we're applying for jobs, and miraculously got a job, and we're able to finally move in September, when he had already started the job in July. So between the time the job was not, and it was just like 2 weeks, so there was no time lost. But at that point, it was just as if the world had ended. So guys, no matter what you are going through, just know that God has a plan. I'm telling you, he has a plan. You might not know, but he has a plan, and he's never late. Just at the right time, when you need that thing, he will bring it to you. Trust me, he will bring it to you. And so we moved into this our house, and that was the next phase of our life started. The interesting part is still, I'm just gonna stop here because this is like I don't want this video to be too long, but I'm still going to continue what I'm saying. I'm just going to put it in another part. So thank you so much, guys, for watching this video today. If you want to know everything that happened between the time we moved to our house and right now that I'm speaking to you, stick on to this channel. And my prayer for you today is that whatever you're asking God for, you might not see it, it might not look like it, you might not know the next step, but God always has a plan. Thank you. Please subscribe to the channel, like, share. I'm sharing my immigration story. This is just the beginning. There's still more and more for you guys to know. After my immigration story, then you guys can know more about me, about my life and stuff like that. But I just, I'm like, share and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.